Hi, my name's Mark. I'm one of the pastors here at Trillium. I recently came across a radio program called The Art and Effort of Personal Grace. And it looked at the important gift or attribute of being able to keep poise under pressure, to keep a certain equanimity or balance when the pressure's on, a kind of grace under fire. And they looked at athletes, and they looked at musicians, they looked at actors, they looked at Cary Grant, for instance, as an example of this poise under pressure. And I'm thinking to myself as I listen to the program, wow, this is a gift that I wish I had more of. And I think all of us would benefit with that ability to keep poise under pressure, to keep grace under fire. I'm watching the Americans down south, and they're just going crazy over this fear of terrorism. And they've lost their total sense of proportionality about life. And I'm thinking to myself, that's so easy for us to be panicked or spooked in our daily living. And to have that poise when the pressure comes on, and to have that grace when the shells are lobbing around you, that is such an immense gift to have. You know, the idea that we're one person, I don't think is true. We're on a continuum from our worst self to our best self. And when pressure comes, I think it pushes us back to being our worst self. And I think that, for instance, we would say things and do things under pressure that we wouldn't otherwise say or do. Or we might not say things and not do things that under pressure that we would otherwise do or say. And so one of the great challenges in life is in order to be our best self, we need to have a way of dealing with the pressure, the strain, the fire in life. I'm thinking about a guy named Vedran Šmailović. He was a cellist in Sarajevo back in the early 90s, a professional musician. And of course, the war in Bosnia starts up, and Sarajevo is the capital of Bosnia, and it's the epicenter of the whole struggle. And from the hills, mortars and artillery shells were lobbed into the city. And one day there was a bakery, one of the few bakeries opened up, and there was a lineup of people waiting for bread when a mortar shell comes in and kills 22 people. And Šmailović's just around the corner in his home, and he comes rushing out, and he's helping to take care of the wounded people in the midst of this carnage. And he's just so disgusted that he goes home afterwards, and he gets his cello, and he comes back, and he just plays this beautiful music in the spot of death. For 22 days he does this. In the midst of the sniper fire and all the mortar shells, he plays with courage and confidence. In the midst of his frailty, he has the grace and the poise to function. He gets a reputation. He starts playing blown out buildings. He starts to go to cemeteries to play at funerals. Because in those days, the Serbian artillerists would lob shells into cemeteries to disrupt funeral services. He plays in all the hard places, and he becomes a symbol of peace and joy and life, of life in the midst of hell. The people of Israel were under immense pressure. A great empire from the east was coming to take their land and their way of life. And they had no way to resist, no ability to flee or run away. And in the midst of this darkness, a little baby's born. And this baby becomes a symbol of life, even in the midst of darkness, a light shining in the hard place. Under pressure, the people develop a sense of poise because they believe this birth is a sign of God's love and care for them. And amazingly, the moment recedes. The army from the east goes to attend another crisis farther on the other side of the empire, and they're saved. And Jesus tells us that there is hope for us in life. In fact, his life becomes itself a testimony. He's born, he lives, he dies in the midst of our frailty, and yet he is resurrected, and he reminds us that we have a future. You and I, we have a future. Even in this world, its pressures, its fire upon us, we still have a future for this moment and the one to come. Lean in, Jesus tells us. Let go of that neurotic fear. Lean into life. Even in the midst of your frailty, lean in and take the helm, and you will discover this presence and power that's with you. So for you and me, that sense of having a future is found in this moment.